Hello everyone, Maurice and welcome to Things Invest. Talk about investing, finance, fresh development. For today's video terms only. The investment on top of today will be NEO, ticker NIO. So it's been a while since I last covered equity and specifically for NEO. NEO is a relatively large part of my position, and I was looking into the charts today and also read up on some of the news that's been percolating so far. I've been trying to build up my position, a little bit higher. I know I have that ambitious positions that I want to get somewhere around like 10,000 shares of NEO. So I decided to actually buy another 1,000 shares today. So I currently have 8,500 shares of NEO at the moment. Right, and just to recap on some of the news that have been percolating recently, right? Some of the news that came out in the last, I would say, 48 hours so far has been collectively very positive so far, right? Just basically reinforcing on some of the factors that we know, right? Strong delivery numbers, new backings of China, respect to the just more of the option side of the world with respect to a lot of traders. Definitely a lot of Wall Street sentiments that are very bullish, right? Basically hammering the call options for NEO ahead of the earnings call that's coming out on August 11th. And also some rumor around like NEO to begin massive productions of his new model ES7 that debuted back in the Chinese auto show. I believe that debuted a couple months ago, if I'm not mistaken, right? And also with respect to some other rumor news coming from Reuters a day ago on basically talk about the July sales, which exceeded Wall Street expectation dramatically. So obviously a lot of positive news so far. I'm not gonna like go through every single one of them, but I have not seen any negative ones so far. It seems like there's a lot of substantive news about quantitative factors that's driving the buying pressure. But also you want to like take that with a grain of salt, right? Adjust that with why is it so consecutive so far, right? What incentivized these news reporters to be pumping these articles on a daily basis. Um, Ultimately, I do believe NEO in terms of this business value proposition in terms of this macro adoptions going forward. And I am bullish on it. But the real reason behind why I decided to buy NEO at a cost average about like 43.75, and I bought it in two separate transactions. So 500 shares around like 43.80 something, and then 43.70 something separately, knowing the fact that $43 is about like that resistance level that we've identified so far, which is kind of hovering. So I actually used today's dip as a form of dollar cost averaging in a logical perspective. So I'm gonna go through that more specifically in the technical analysis to give you guys more of my methodology, my rationale behind why I did what I did. So stay tuned, stick around, let's make some money. Alright, so moving on to the technical analysis for NEO ticket NIO. I'm recording this off 11:24 a.m. on an Eastern time. Current trade like the $43.92 level, down about 4.22% so far. And you can see that we have this mini sell-off that is mainly driven by the COVID variant news that got picked up in the media affectation front. So we're kind of hovering between the levels right now, right? We are hovering between the $46.28 level, which I've identified so far, and the $43.05 level, which is the next level of resistance, right? So with today's dip, it was a gift that I gave to myself that the market has sent us, I guess. And I think that it was logical for me to buy at the level at around this range right now, knowing the fact that we have formed that cross section for a relatively long time right now, ever since that FOMC meeting, and then subsequent to that, we've been curving down for quite some time now, right? On our side perspective, we are relatively in a more normalized zone. We're not overbought, we're not oversold, we're just trending accordingly. But I think we should see more bullishness coming, knowing the fact that the MACD is slowly crossing up right now. So today was just a relatively more of a macro sell-off, so it doesn't really have anything to do with the business fundamentals of NEO as a whole. And we do know that there's a lot of bullish factor that's percolating going forward ahead of the earnings. So I do see some anticipatory pressure ahead of the NEO's earnings on the 11th of August. So that's why I decided to buy today, because it's a logical play. Or for both the anticipatory pressure, but also because I do believe in the long-term value proposition for NEO, right? When you think about investing, you always want to think about it in a long-term perspective, never just like short-term. I'm never really the swing trading or just day trading, if you may, just hope for quick gains or buy a put or buy a call on their respective day. Like that's like basically betting on the timing of it, right? And for me, maybe I'm not smart enough to know, how's the dynamic of the timing is gonna look like tomorrow, because like we can never predict how the publishers are going to be releasing what articles for that day, right? And we don't know the verbiage or their persuasions towards one side of the spectrum versus another. That's something that we don't have psychological calculations behind it. That's just impossibility, right? So for me, I stay away from it because that's just pure gambling. But I do know that some people get rewarded majorly. But that's, their side of the world. I stay within what I know best, which is long-term value investing, right? So that's why I did what I did today, and I'm going to continue dollar cost average. I think if you break the 43.05 level, the next level will be leaped down all the way to 38.76 based on the level that we at. Obviously, we're going to hover around like the 40, right? But the 40 is not really a substantive level, right? Based on the technical analysis that we know so far, right? We might hover around like the 41.50 because that's a flat number. But again, that's not a substantive level either, right? The real level based on the historicals is really at anywhere around like 38.76, before the next leap up, because that was the mega red candle that formed a strong resistance level that bounced back up. The other ones are just basically levitations, just hovering around to form some sort of like, it looks like consolidation, but not really actually, right? So those are the frames I will be continue eye on, but knowing the fact that we are slowly about to cross already, and the RSI is really normalized, I feel relatively comfortable with the executions that I did today, so that's why I did what I did. Alright, just to recap on numbers and technical analysis, again, right, the fair levels that we can dollar cost average going forward would be $40, which is not really a substantive level, it's just a flat number of 40. But if we break 40, we go all the way down to 38.50, right? So I decided to buy some today, 1,000 shares, just to know that because of the fact that we should be forming a golden cross coming, and with the export pressure that's coming in basically 8 days from now, with all the positive factors that we should be anticipating, it just makes sense in the logical perspective, and that's why I bought what I did today, and it's the logical play, and today was a gift from the macro side of the spectrum that gave us that level to dollar cost average and an ideal level, right? It's not the perfect level. It's not at 43. It's 43.75, right? But we know that we can never time the market. We can only execute based on what it tells us in a technical perspective. And it made sense today based on how this setup looks like. And that's why I did what I did. But long-term wise, if you want to buy at any other levels, right, long-term wise, the price target is still going to be way higher than where we're at right now, $85, which would generate like a 97 or like 100% upside from it, 2 times your money if you buy at the $43 level. That's it for today. Respect my technical analysis on NEO, ticker NIO. Hopefully this is helpful into giving you guys my methodology and the rationale, behind what I did today. Feel free to ask me any questions. These are relatively volatile times, especially around earnings. But it makes sense why I did what I did today, and today was a gift that gave us the opportunity to dollar cost average logically, which is the level of risk mitigation that we always want to be achieving, right? So yeah, so really appreciate you, and stay tuned for news come up. Take care, bye.